got Gary Ferrara here from Palm Beach. He used to work on Wall Street. Now he's a big-time real estate agent. Was big time in Wall Street. So thank you for coming in, Gary.
Well, you're welcome, Tom. Always a pleasure.
So now, where'd you grow up?
Little town called Oneonta, New York, about 20 miles out of Cooperstown. Everybody knows where Cooperstown is.
Is that near Brooklyn or no?
Upstate.
It's
4.5 hours from the city.
Okay, so that's where you grew up.
I'm a country boy.
You're a country boy. Italian country boy, huh?
Italian country boy.
Okay, so now you go to school there?
Yeah. I actually, after I got out of high school, I joined the Army.
Oh,
and,
you did? I didn't know.
Joined the Army, and I was in the Signal Corps. I sat on top of a bunch of nuclear weapons, watched the Watergate hearings from about 100 feet in the ground while I maintained the equipment. But that's a huge difference in my life. I mean, you don't go in there and come out the same person. Then I went back to college. In Oneonta, my dad had passed away, and I stayed in town to watch out for my mom. And
so now you go to the Army, and where do they put you?
I ended up I went to Fort Monmouth for a year.
Where's that at?
The Jersey Shore, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where they put you. So you're there. And how long did you have to stay in the Army for?
3 years.
Is that what you signed up for?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you sign up for the 3 years. So you graduate high school, you go in the Army, they put you in Jersey, you're there. And what was your role in the Army?
Signal Corps, tactical microwave signal repair. You know what that means?
I don't think
I wonder myself.
Do you know what it means?
Yeah. You sat in a hut. Tactical means you're in one spot. Strategic means you're in a truck, and they drive you around the countryside. But we were in a building, and we maintained the communications with the Belgian Air Force. We had the Air Force guys there protecting our nuclear weapons. It's still there, Kleine Belgium. I looked it up the other day.
Is it open?
Yeah,
oh.
It's probably a different mission, but you see, we provide the nuclear weapons to the Allies, and then they fly the planes. Matter of fact, at that time they were flying F-100s, shooting stars, which was kind of a strange name because those things had the worst problems in the world. I think every other week we had to go to a funeral for a Belgian pilot.
The plane crash?
Oh, they were horrible.
And what year is this?
Bricks with engines. Well, those planes.
Bricks with engines.
Yeah, those planes were built in the late 50s, early 60s, and this was 72, 73, 74. They were flying them, and we gave them to the Belgians, and of course now they're flying F-15s, F-16s.
So that's not really that old. I mean, it's a long time ago, but I mean, for the 70s, for them to be crashing like that, I didn't think. Yeah.
I knew a guy. I had him when I was a stockbroker. He was a customer of mine. And he was an Air Force brigadier general. And he told me stories about them flying over the Pacific, and he said they'd have flameouts all the time in those days. And that would be in the early 60s to mid-60s. He flew combat in Vietnam.
And what's a flameout?
Yeah.
Not everybody
Your
knows.
car stalls on I-95 when you're doing 80.
Okay, so that's what a flameout is. Okay, all right. So I get it.
You got that?
Okay, so now you do 3 years in the Army. You're doing all that cool shit. Did you like it or it sucked?
Hated it at times. Got out, got my college education, went down to re-enlist. Does that make any sense? You just miss it. You miss the people. You miss the
camaraderie of it.
You miss talking to people who understand what you're talking about. When we first went in, we're all looking at the board in the day room. It says ETA, MOS. We had no idea what any of that was. POV is privately owned vehicle. MOS is your military occupation. You just, and still, 50 years later, it's still part of you. It doesn't go away.
Okay, so you finish. So you do your 3 years in the Army. You go to college. How many years do you go to college for?
Well, I have a master's and I was a doctoral student. So it took me about 2.5 years to finish when I got out, because after you get out, you just have a different idea of life. Everything you want to do, is this what we got to do? Let's do it. What do I need to do? I need to go to summer school? Go to summer school. Can I take a couple classes at night? You just do it. For a lot of these kids out there that are so messed up, join the Marines. You'll get straight.
Yeah.
You'll get straight.
Okay, so what kind of degree do you end up getting?
I have a BS, as you probably can tell from the.
Yeah.
I have a BS in elementary education. I have a master's in education,
Wow.
and I was a doctoral student. But I was so tired of it. I had 22 apartment units. I was trading stocks, and one day I didn't go to class, and I just went to E.F. Hutton. I said I want to work.
So before we got on, you were saying you were a teacher?
Mm-hmm.
And what'd you teach?
3rd grade, 2nd grade.
Now, I've known you for about 6-7 years. I cannot imagine this guy teaching.
With my sophomoric sense of humor, you can't imagine me with little kids.
No, I can imagine you with little kids, but I can imagine with little kids saying, hey, fuck this, let's go make some pizza in my new oven that I got.
Well, it was pretty
Fuck
much
this
like
bullshit.
it was
and
like,
coming in with,
it was like
cannolis
that.
and shit like that. I mean,
was-
that's how I picture
it-
you,
it
especially back in the day like that.
It was like that. Did you see the other day that it was the 41st anniversary of Bucky Dent's home run with the Yankees? Okay, so I go down. The game was going to start, and the kids were still there, and I said, "Stand by." So I go down, and I get the television. I wheel the television
In the classroom.
In the classroom,
That's
we're watching a
badass.
Yankee game.
Yeah, that's Gary for you.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
You
So
know what I learned? I'll tell you something. You asked me some questions before. You know what I learned about kids like that? You get out of their way, and they'll come out just fine. I had a totally individualized classroom. Everybody went at their own pace. And some of the kids that were real advanced, I'd have them work with the other kids. They brought me one girl that was did not speak English. I can't remember her name. I can picture her face. They brought her to me. They brought me one kid whose mom was a drug addict, and he had an IQ like an Asperger's person. And they said, we'll get him out of here in 2 weeks. And somebody called me 3 years later and said, I just want you to know, I'm from Richmondville Central School, and David is still in public education. Very proud of that.
yeah,
Very
yeah,
proud of that.
Yeah.
I said to him one day, I said, David, we can't go anywhere until you clean your desk off. And he looked down and he just went, and
Now it's clean. All right.
I just, what do you do?
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's go.
Yeah. That's how I see you being a fucking teacher.
Yeah, but I got all the teachers' kids. My wife got them in the 2nd grade. I got them in the 3rd grade.
Okay.
And they put them where they want them to be.
Yeah. So you finished the school. Now you're a teacher. Now you re-enlist in the Army again?
I was going to. I went down.
Or
and
you were debating?
I went to the Air Force. Food was better, and I went to the Air Force, but they wanted engineers.
Okay. So you wanted to do it, but they didn't want the category that. But had they wanted the category that you would have
Maybe.
done, you may have won a different route with that.
Who knows?
Okay. So now, how do you get into Wall Street? Because we all call you Wall Street. We all call you. Everybody I know that knows you that knows
my
we
wife
call you
and
Wall Street
I,
Gary.
my wife and I, we were in a small town teaching in the same school. I wanted a business. I wanted to do something. So I bought a house, and it was a duplex, and we turned it into a fourplex. And then we bought another house, and then we bought another house, and then one time I bought 2 houses at the same time. Now interest rates were 20%.
And what year is this?
2020, isn't it? Oh.
Nah, fucker. Yeah.
1979. My wife
Okay.
and I have been married 41 years on Tuesday.
Wow, 41 years.
Yep, that's
Married
right.
That's very rare these days.
Yep. I'm a prince for putting up with her. Let me
Yeah.
tell you.
Now, I want to get back to that, but what is the secret to 42 years? And you're gonna have a joke with this, I'm sure.
She put up with me for 42 years. I'm just like you, just like everybody
Yeah.
else. The pressure of living every day. When you're selling stocks for a living, okay, today's over. What's the question? What are you going to do tomorrow?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I look back, and my lawyer's like 43, 44, and he was talking to me about what, and I said, I know exactly what you're going through, because he's got $1 million house, and he's got a title business, and he's got a law business, and he's got this business, and I got $100,000 payroll. And I go, yeah, I get it. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay? I'm as happy as I've ever been. The wolf isn't at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm playing the back 9 of life. Don't get me wrong. I stand on my tiptoes. I see the clubhouse, but I don't worry about that.
Okay. So basically, she just put up with your shit, and that's why you guys stayed together.
And now
Women aren't like that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, there's far and few between are like
she's
that.
she's a gem. And now it's like
No, she's a nice lady. She
Yeah,
really is.
yeah, and now it's just all peaches and cream.
Okay, so now you go to Wall Street, and how
Well,
does that
they
story
hired
go?
me because I had the 22 apartment units. Now we were making $10,000 a year. I was making 10. She was making 11.
And this is 79.
Yeah.
Now, what would you equivalent that to in 2020? Just, roughly.
Always go by the price of a car.
Okay.
Okay, I bought a Nissan 4x4. $10,000. First time I ever spent $10,000 on a vehicle. That truck you see in the picture, probably new, was 27, 28, and it's just a stock Dodge. Ford F-150 is going to get you from 40 to 50.
So in 79, that truck would have been 27,000?
No, it's 27 now.
Okay, what would it have been in 79?
8.
Okay, so if you're making 10,000, maybe that would be
60.
equivalent to like 50, 60 right now today.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Just to put a perspective on it.
Correct.
So you walk in and you're making 10,000 a year doing the properties, right? The
Well,
project management.
The secret to the whole thing was interest rates were 20%.
Okay.
Now, this is, you told me we're going to talk about foreclosures and everything.
Yeah.
And okay. So at 20% interest, you can go back and you can read about Paul Volcker and all that, but that's beyond the scope of this. I would go to somebody and say, look, I never took out a bank loan. I would assume everybody's mortgage. Yeah, I'll assume that. The last one that I bought, I left with cash from the closing. I actually bought a house and left with cash. It was a $27,000 house, and I left with $4,000 in cash. Okay? Now, a real estate agent at the time, you can't do that. You can't do that. And I said, yeah, I can do it. I can't do it with you because you're going to want to get paid, but I can do it with the owners. So I would go to somebody's house. I remember one conversation. I said, your house is worth every bit of $35,000. It is. And I said, I want to pay you $35,000. But I can't go to the bank and get a loan.
Because interest rates at this time are 20%.
Figure it out. Go amortization schedule.
Jesus Christ.
But I said, if you'll hold the paper, that's a euphemism for give me a mortgage, a personal mortgage, I will pay you 7% interest. And I will give you the entire $35,000. And what people don't understand is $35,000 with 7% paper, okay, when rates are 20%, that might, I don't have a bond calculator, but that's probably 20 grand. You're just ripping 15 off the top. And that's the beauty of real estate. You go to try to buy Apple. I think Apple was trading at $115 Friday, maybe $116. Try to buy it at $50 a share. You may someday, but with real estate, it's just a blank piece of paper, and whatever you can come up with, you can get. So that's how I built that, and it was 22 units. So when I went to Hutton, they looked at me as a school teacher. No way they were going to hire a Metaganza, an Italian kid that's teaching school.
And Hutton is Wall Street.
E.F. Hutton.
Yeah. Okay.
You are young.
Yeah.
E.F. Hutton talks people, listen, trading places, right?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So what happened was they looked at the houses, and they go, come on in, we want to talk to you.
So they saw what you did with the houses.
It implied integrity.
Yeah. That was kind of your resume.
Still is.
I mean, to get into there.
Exactly right.
Okay, so now you get in with them, and what happens?
Within like 2 years, the head of the headline in the New York Daily News was E.F. Hutton commits fraud. Like, actually, It was Edward F. Hutton that did that. This guy, Bob Fullman, went off the deep end and did stupid things, and the firm was in trouble. So I went to Payne Weber, and then I came down.
Well, when you're
here.
at E.F. Hutton, that's what it was called.
Yeah.
What did he do fraudulent?
I really can't remember, but an insider told me that the Treasury Department wanted Hutton to cooperate in a money laundering scheme.
Okay.
And before they could get there, Hutton wired the money out.
Oh.
Hutton would do things like, I'm in Albany, New York. Somebody would cut a check out of Hutton. I was at Payne Weber at the time. And the check would come from the Bank of San Francisco.
I see.
So they were floating. Remember, interest rates were big.
Yeah.
So if you could float millions and millions of dollars at 10, 11, 12%, just by moving paper around, it's a big chunk of change, man.
So he gets popped with the fraud, and then you go to where?
I went to Payne Weber.
And what do they do?
It was a brokerage firm.
What do they own? Like Apple
They're
owns
gone now.
Well, at the time, like what were they into?
It was stocks and bonds. It was the same business.
Oh, okay.
You had the same. You had the same. You had Hutton, Shearson, Payne, Payne Weber, Prudential Bache. Prudential became Prudential Bache. All these guys were right up. We're in Palm Beach right now. All of these guys were right up the street. Every year they would come to Palm Beach, and they all had offices on Worth Avenue. Okay, and because everybody was here for 3 months a year.
And for people that don't know, Worth Avenue is out the ass price range. Well, today, I mean, it's like a fucking a 1-bedroom condo is like 1.5 million.
Well, I'll give you.
What was it then? Was it like that then, or it wasn't like that then?
In the 20s. I'm old, Tommy. I'm not that old.
Fuck.
Let me give
no,
you.
I'm saying when you're talking about that, they would come down here to
in the
work.
20s.
Oh, the fucking 20s.
Well, I'll give you an idea. I started at Josephthal, right down the street when I came here. I wanted to come to Florida. And the guy said, I got an opening. I want you to be my assistant manager. So I came here, and I met a guy by the name of Max Levine. This was 1987. Max was 88.
Mm-hmm.
He told me stories. He was a runner for the American, and he told me stories about Palm Beach. And he told me the stories about all the guys coming down. And he goes, he's over on the island one day when he was a broker in the 20s. Remember the crash of 29 and all the crazy stuff? Mm. He says there's a guy dressed in a suit, and he's on the phone. And he's going, yeah, I buy all the XYZ you can buy. Buy everything that you can get. Buy all the XYZ. Okay. And he'd hang up, and he'd make another call. Buy all the XYZ. The next day, Max saw the guy dressed in rags sitting on the corner.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And those are some of the stories that led into that great crash and people killing themselves and all of that. And as we talked about before when we were just sitting here, it's human nature. It ain't never going to change, and it's happening now. David Portnoy and Barstool Sports and all of that stuff.
Yeah, Barstool Sports is big right now.
Yep. And that's what happens. You were asking me about the market, and I said, I have no idea how long it's going to last.
Yeah.
But I can tell you the signs are there that we're in for it.
Yeah.
This coronavirus stuff. Can we talk about the building I saw when I came in?
Yeah, but I want to go back to,
go ahead.
So you're still on Wall Street. The guy gets hit with the fraud. You go to the next company.
Next time, and then I came here.
So that was your last spot on Wall Street.
No, I came here for Josephthal, and then I went.
No, in New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I came here.
Then you came here. So what year do you come here?
87.
Okay, 87. Now you get here
5 days before the crash.
5 days before the crash. Did it really? Okay.
How's that for timing?
But now, what made you move from Wall Street, New York, to Florida? What was
that big yellow thing in the sky?
The fucking sun?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
I was going down the elevator one night. I had galoshes on and gloves and a Burberry coat and a briefcase, and I go, God, I hate living here. And the woman says, well, why are you here? And I go, because I was born here. And the elevator goes down. And I said, that is a really stupid reason to live here. And I was gone.
So you just got sick of all the bullshit in Wall Street, this, that, the other,
yeah.
And you just decided, fuck it, I'm out of here.
That's it.
I'm gone, woke up, and you came down here.
I didn't say that. I don't swear. But
right,
the sentiment is correct.
Your nose is getting bigger as you say that. Right. Okay, so now you get down here, and what happens then?
Oh, gosh.
Now, are you still fucking with stocks and Wall Street when you're down here, or are you done with that at this point?
No, I was a broker until like 2003, maybe.
So you just basically went away from Wall Street, but kept doing what you were doing, but did it down here.
It was called being a retail broker. I got a stock exchange principals license. I opened up a small shop. I had
down here?
I had a huge hit in the 90s. Huge. Picked up an analyst, told him about the stock. He wrote it. He became an institutional investor. Everybody made a ton of money. I was on a great hot streak. About 1997, something's not right. Okay? Everything I touch is blowing up, and I'm doing everything exactly the same. So what's going on? And that led into this 2008 stuff. I realized in that particular period of time that the firms and everybody are trading against me. They're all trading against me. Now, if you go watch the movie The Big Short, which is about Wall Street, it's still Wall Street doing housing bonds. And they killed everybody. And that they say at the end of the movie, nobody went to jail. And it broke my heart. And I just absolutely couldn't do it anymore because I couldn't represent anything to people because I had no idea what was going to happen. I had no idea what side of the trade these guys were on. I saw a lot of things I wouldn't talk about here, even though it's past the 6 years, and it's just horrible.
So it just basically became so crooked and fucked up, is what you're saying in so many words?
Guy told me a story one time. In this building that you or I are in right now, I told you we had an office downstairs. And he told me they had a thing called bearer bonds. If you ever watch any movies out of the 30s, you owned if you had the bond in your hand, it was your bond. Nothing could go wrong there, right? And he said he got home one day, and he was a young guy on Wall Street, and there was a guy in his office that he wanted him to handle these bearer bonds, and guy says, I don't want to touch this. He knew the guy's reputation, et cetera, et cetera. He says, I got home. He says, I got a town car in the driveway, and the guy's there. He says, you're going to do these bonds for me. And that's what happens. There's so much money, and it's still there, and it's too enticing to too many people.
You mean when you say enticing, you mean you see the money there, and then you dive into it, and it's just such a risky.
How about this Theranos from this company where she just totally screwed everybody up? Or what other scandals came out? You know, Nikola, the guy is GM's buying the company or going in on the company, and the CEO is dirty. So that's why now, okay, I do my real estate stuff, and I can do it with a phone and a computer. But I sit home and I day trade. A long-term holding for me is 90 seconds. Okay? I'm in, I'm out, I go home flat.
Now, when you say long-term holding, what do you mean?
It's a joke. Long-term holding capital gains used to be a year and a day. You pay a different tax rate. I'm in for 90 seconds. I make my bones in the morning, and then I go. And I do what I want to do. I might come back for the close and see if I can catch something. But my risk tolerance is zilch.
So you're not sitting there 9 to 3 Bloomberg.
I might if I want to. If I see some action. I love action. I love I mean, I was a casino rat in the 90s. I was a card counter. I used to go to the casinos, count cards, play blackjack. Had a group of guys I traveled with. We played golf. And you'd always find somebody in the casino you could open up an account with. Because a casino is filled with men that'll do stupid things with money. And that was the stockbroker business.
Wow.
Okay? There used to be a thing in the business. You'll see it in that movie, Boiler Room.
Yeah.
Where they go, don't pitch the bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's real. That's real. Because women don't do stupid things with money like men do.
Right.
So you didn't even bother that. Are you the decision maker?
Yeah.
No, you didn't do that.
Right.
And the stuff that you saw, I saw. Okay? I saw people, and I was the guy that did the bonds and that did the mutual funds, and I traded stocks. But I had a business like that where I would see these kids, 21, 22 years old, and these guys in like Florida, I would see these guys send them $100,000 check. And I says to this one kid, Shapiro, I forget his first name, I go, I can't believe a successful businessman, would send somebody like you $100,000. And he goes, me neither. Can you believe it? I can't believe it.
Right. And what did he actually send him the $100,000 for?
Who the hell knows?
Really?
Some pig in a poke.
That he just thought he had a good pick, basically?
They pick something out. They just make anything out.
Yeah, and it makes
Watch the movie Boiler Room.
Yeah.
Because that's here in Florida.
Yeah.
I think it was J.T. Marlin or something. And there's the real firm that was named after. And you would see these guys pitch the same stock over and over and over again. And I went to a meeting one time, and there's a big line, and they're all talking about the same stock. There was one in Del Rey. And they were making, their claim to fame was they were making topsoil out of garbage. And I'm thinking, well, that doesn't pass the smell test, pun intended.
And that became an IPO?
Oh, hold on. No, it was a trading stock.
Okay.
As I remember correctly, it was like 9 by 9.5. So I called down, and I get a annual report. Must have been close to first of the year. I look at it. There's no money. The company has no money. So I call them up, and they admit it, right? So one of the local papers is sending a business guy out there, the business editor, to do a story. And I called up the business editor, and I said, if you publish a story on that company, you're going to be sued because there's nothing there. So I'm talking to this one guy, and he's got 9,000 shares of his stock, 9 by 9.5 or whatever. I says, you got to get out, man. There's no money there. Well, I want to see, and this, that. I used to, at that time, I'd stay late on Friday and go in Saturday morning just to get stuff ready for the week. 6 o'clock on the Bunker Ramo that we had. AgriPost was the name of the stock. See, I'm not senile yet.
Is that still around now? Or you're getting to that? Yeah.
AgriPost posted a going concern. What that meant was they didn't have any money, and it was doubtful they were going to be a going concern. I called this guy Saturday morning, and I said, you be by the phone Monday. You got to get out of every share that you got. And I told him. And I caught the market maker sleeping. The market maker was the guy that traded the stock. And I hit him with about 8,000 shares, and he took it at the bid. He didn't do his homework. He didn't see the news release.
Now, is market maker an actual position?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah. So the guy sits there, and he might trade 3 stocks.
Okay.
That's why some of these kids that are day trading and they're trying to save 40 stocks.
Yeah.
There's guys make their bones on 3 stocks or 1 stock.
Right.
And they make the market. They are the buyer and the seller of last resort. Well, I caught this guy sleeping. So the customer says, I want to keep 1,000 shares. Why? He did, went to 0, he pulled his account. And that's another thing about the retail brokerage business. You do the right thing by people, and they'll pull their money out. They want action. People ask for a lot of things that they get.
So now a lot of people want to get into the stock market. Everybody wants to get in. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry wants to get into it. Now, and I don't know much about it. I just know from I had that Brandon in here. He made the $300,000 on Tesla. You know, I know a little bit from you. I dealt with the guy in Breakers down here, and the guy that owns the Breakers didn't leave. He would not leave his house till 3:30. He'd sit there all day and watch Bloomberg, sometimes even later. I mean, it didn't matter if the place was on fire. He wasn't leaving that TV channel. So I guess my question to you is, to me, when somebody comes up to you, what do you think about this time? Now, I don't know shit about the stock. You know what I mean? But they'll have like $800, let's just say. And they'll go through that, and they'll pick these stocks, and, you know, they're like bullshit stocks. Never even heard of them. I guess on a hedge bet that it's going to do something. I mean, do you think that's a good idea to do this little shit and hope that something works, or just take the fucking $800 and go have a nice dinner?
Yeah.
I mean, because they're so into it, like you said, they're so enticed by what could happen. So in other words, what I've seen is there's a gazillion stocks to buy, right?
True.
And there's that one guy out of, let's just for shits and giggles, 1 out of 1 million people. They pick that one stock. They have $800 in their pocket. They pick that one stock, and they hit, and now they're a multimillionaire, right? But the other 999,000 lost the 800 that they put in that they maybe didn't have, the 10,000, whatever. Now, so to me, if you don't have the money, or there's not, now that I know what a split thing is, like the 1-to-5 split like Tesla did, Apple does sometimes, now maybe that's a little bit different. But if I didn't have the money to buy a stock like that, I would just take the fucking 800 and go, I don't know, buy something used and flip it on eBay, or go to a nice dinner in a hotel. I think you would have better success with that than taking 800, put it in some shit stock, watching it go up $3, $4, and then you look, and then what happens is it went up $200, and they're like, oh my God, it went up. Like, they'll call, or they'll come in, or I'll run into them like, hey, remember that stock you said was a stupid? Because, you know, I'm like, that's just fucking stupid.
Greater fool theory.
Explain that.
You're going to sell to somebody dumber than you.
Yeah.
Now, remember the Three Stooges?
Yeah.
Moe would turn around and slap Larry,
Yeah.
and then Larry would slap Curly, and
Yeah.
Curly would turn around, and there was nobody to slap. That's you.
So it's just a dumbass idea to do that.
Because you won't quit.
Yeah.
I was a big gambler at one point. And in 1996, I took like 12 trips, and I broke dead even. Now, the only reason I broke dead even, and by the way, 5-star restaurants, airfare, the works. And the only reason I broke dead even is because I lost my discipline at the Flamingo Hilton one night, and I have this beautiful $8,000 pink golf shirt.
Vegas?
Yeah. But see, I counted cards, and so the edge was in my favor. And then to get the numbers up, I'd go to the crap table where I'd have all my fun. Because
Yeah.
when you're counting cards, you pretty much got to stay right where you're at.
Yeah.
And at the crap table, I would have my fun. But you see, nobody leaves.
Mm-hmm.
One night, it was my birthday, my 44th birthday. I mean, I was getting killed on the crap table. And I drinking too much because we played golf and went to bed. And I told my wife, I got to get my money back. So I go downstairs, and I'm on the com, and I got like 6, 8, 10 grand down on the thing. And every time I get a point, I'm taking money off. I'm putting money on, and I got it all back. But the com, when that 7-Eleven or Snake Eyes comes up, all that money comes down.
Yeah. So in other words, you're going in there, you're counting cards, and you're winning. And then because you're counting the fucking cards.
Yeah.
You get away with it back then. So now,
I got thrown out.
but you got caught a few times.
Yeah.
And they let you back in? Or did you
No,
go
not
in
that,
like
but the Imperial Palace, they threw me out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The guy with the knuckles on the ground, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah,
sir,
see ya,
I'm gone.
see ya.
You can play any other game, but you're not playing here. Yes, sir.
So so basically you would crush it, counting the cards, and then go have your fun and lose it all, and then break even on the
Pretty
other
much,
end.
yeah.
So in other words, you would say if you got $800, pull it out and go fucking have a nice dinner.
But or go to or get on one of these Mississippi plane rides and go when the girls come with the bustiers and they give you free drinks. It's more fun.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just more fun.
Now, do you watch? I always forget his name. What's the guy on? I think he might be on fucking fake news CNN or the stock guy. He's real crazy. Kramer. Yeah. Do you like him? Do you think he's a good one to follow?
He's like me. He got old and he mellowed, but I can go back 25 years and I know some stuff because he put it in print with his buddy Herb Greenberg. And he was part of the problem that led into that 2005, 2006, my disgust with the industry.
The real hyper guy Kramer on that.
Yeah,
So he's no good.
Well, he calls himself...
Madman or something.
He says he calls himself Jimmy Chill now.
Oh,
But
I haven't seen
his
it in a
big
while.
call was, he said, don't worry about Bear Stearns, they're fine. And then Bear Stearns took a swan dive and went to zero.
Right.
I hit Bear Stearns. I had puts on Bear Stearns. I made money there.
And puts his betting that it's going to go down.
Yeah, it was crazy. Look, there was a book written in 1935, The Battle for Investment Survival, Gerald Loeb, Loeb.
Now, when you say 1935, is it written in English or is it written in fucking 1935 talk?
What do you think they say? Mugs and dames? No, it's in English.
I don't know. I'm asking you.
It's
Fuck.
a
For you
book.
say 1935, I feel like there was fucking.
I always
there wasn't
read-
even cars back then.
Oh, nice ones. Always read the old books because nobody's got anything to sell you. They're dead.
Yeah.
Okay? They don't care.
Yeah. Right.
But there was...
I agree with that.
I believe it was that book where he said, if blah, blah happens, if you spend all your time studying, blah, blah, you got a Chinaman's chance in hell of winning.
Mm-hmm.
It's all set up against you.
Right.
And the people that win is a small fraction. I have spent a lot of time looking at different day trade setups, but like you're analytical, you've got your businesses, you've got this beautiful studio and everything. I wanted to see what worked. Now, this guy said this guy said that, this guy said this. I found things I liked, I found things I didn't like. What I didn't like about any of them was before I could be wrong. Okay, I've got a loss of $400, $500, $600. I don't want to take a loss like that. Okay, so I've built this little platform where I go in and I know exactly what I'm looking for. And Friday, Trump comes out at 1 o'clock in the morning. He's going to the hospital. Market just fell off a cliff.
Yeah,
And I said, okay, I know exactly what I'm looking for. I didn't find it till 1:30 in the afternoon.
Okay, so what were you looking for? Not what you found. What were you looking for?
I was looking for stochastic indicators.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, well, it's very difficult.
Okay, in simple terms,
An oscillator. Where
the fuck is an oscillator?
It measures prices.
Okay.
And I use two. I use a 5-bar and a 14-bar, and I use a 2-minute chart.
Okay.
So I'm looking back 5 bars. I'm looking back 14 bars.
And what's a bar?
1 2-minute tick. 1 minute's too fast. 5 minutes is too slow for me. I like the 2-minute. I'll go between times, but I go 2-minute bar. So 14 bars is 28 minutes of trading. 5 bars, 10 minutes of trading.
So you're watching it for 28 minutes? Is that what you're saying? I'm trying to understand.
I'll go from here to here to here. I've got screens like you've got.
Yeah.
I'll go from here to here to here to here, and then when I see something, I'll sit, and I'm looking for support. I'm looking for moving averages. I'm looking for something to hold the bar up. Because don't forget, you got a lot of guys that we all read the same stuff. Then you have algos.
And what's an algo?
An algorithm.
Okay.
It's
algorithm.
reading the tape, and it's going to come in, and it's going to throw a tremendous amount of money if you get certain signals. Now, the same signal can be successful, and it was Friday, and then I saw the same signal an hour later. It looked exactly the same, except the market was different. Because at the same time, I'm looking at the futures and everything. And so I just sat, and I passed on the second one, which was good because we went down $1. The first time it went up. And I don't care. You know, I hear these guys saying, well, you know, this and this, and I'm day trading that. Look, it's just a mania. If it's got letters, it's going up. Okay? If somebody can make a story, and don't you think, just like the guy on the phone in the 20s, that they aren't out there planting stories. Like the Nikola guy?
Yeah.
Okay. We're looking at the tape. All this, I don't trade that because I don't trade stuff where I smell a rat. Because that stuff will come out when you don't expect it, and you'll be holding a bag or holding something else, if you know what I mean. Hits the tape. The CEO of Nikola was arrested at the airport trying to flee the country. Whew, stock goes down.
Dead.
Never happened.
So when you say this,
it never happened.
You're looking for stability in 28 minutes.
You missed it. It never happened. It was a planted story.
Well, I understand. They planted it right.
Stock went down. They sell. Boom.
But when you're doing this 28-minute thing, in simple terms, you're looking at, because I've seen all your fucking monitors.
Yeah.
It's like a goddamn, it's like a boiler room in your fucking house.
You got sexually excited, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I got a little bit of a chub.
That's why I threw you out.
Yeah. Well, maybe I got a little bit of a nice chub. So when
made me nervous.
that's a good thing. I'd be sad if it didn't. So when you're doing that, you're basically looking for like stability.
I'm just looking for something going up or down.
Okay.
In the old days, you used to have to get a locate on a stock. In other words, you have to call up and you'd have to see if you could borrow it. Then if you borrowed it, you could sell it. Now, for 85% of the issues out there, you just hit a button and you're short the stock. You don't have to find it. You don't have to locate it. I'm looking at Micron tomorrow because it's breaking down to new lows in this move. And then once that happens, they pile on. What the stock market is like, or what any of these issues are like, especially now, you've got a lot of novices in there. It's like a real old person, okay, older than me, climbing a flight of stairs. It's going to take them all day. Mm-hmm. They get to the top and they teeter. They're down at the bottom in about 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. When Trump, futures markets trade overnight. And the S&P 500 futures trade overnight. They trade in Asia, I think, till about 3:30 in the morning, and then Europe picks them up.
And what's futures market?
Derivatives.
Okay.
You've got lumber, coal, oil, dollar.
And that's the futures market.
Futures.
Okay.
And man, let me tell you something. You'll wet your pants before you go to the bathroom if you got to trade on a futures market because it is brutally vicious. A lot of people try to trade them, but most people lose them. But on Trump, when he went, I was, of course, asleep. I wasn't up. But at 1 o'clock in the morning, he put the tweet out. And when he said that, you had, on my 2-minute chart, you had fat fingers down 3 bars. And when I say fat fingers, I mean red bars like this. Boom, boom, boom. Mm-hmm. And it could have been like 100 handles. And in the futures, that's $5,000 a contract on the minis.
Okay.
In 6 minutes. Now, if you're sitting there and you're trading and you don't have a TV or you're not watching Twitter, you got no idea what happens.
Right.
And
so that's kind of an advantage that you could have over other people doing the same thing.
Well, if you were doing your homework, okay, and I have to look because I've learned through the years, there's about 5 signals in a daily, in a 2-minute and the 5-minute charts. They tip their hand ahead of time. You know as well as I know, rumors. You get the rumor, You don't call anybody. You hit the button.
Yeah.
So if I were to go back and look at that chart, and I really wasn't interested enough to do it, you would see some wiggles ahead of those 3 big bars.
Mm-hmm.
That's the smart money.
Okay.
That's the smart money getting out first. So you see a lot of these guys that you're talking about that come in and they go, this is easy. Okay. My father was an excellent horse player. He worked in a factory. I looked at his tax records. He never made more than $8,000 in a year. You know, I make $8,000 in a month, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay, or in a week sometimes. It just depends on whatever market I'm in. And he took me. We went to the track and I won. And he said, I was like 11 or 12 years old. They let me put a couple of bets in. I'm looking at the racing for him. He says, I'm really sorry that you won. And he said this to 10-year-old me, and I go. Right? If he said it when I was 25, I'd have told him a totally different line. But I said, why would you want me to lose? He said, because I don't want you to think it's easy. And these kids are learning all the wrong lessons.
Yeah, because that's what they're doing. They're taking, like I just told you, reverting back to that, to why I asked you this, because they are taking $800 that they have, and that might be all that they have. And they are hoping, like you said, fake hopes or lost hopes. And they think that they're going to pick that one fucking stock that is just in 3 years from now is going to pop. Now it might, but the odds are 1 in a million, probably 1 in 10 million.
And the media.
I mean, you look at the 10 biggest stocks that people banked on, you know, and like the whole fucking Bitcoin thing. Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean,
I never sniffed it because I didn't want to spend the time studying it.
No, and you really, because I looked at it too, because a friend of mine made a shit ton. But here's the thing. A lot of people lost a lot of money with Bitcoin, but a lot of people made a lot of money. My friend, a good friend of mine, he made a ton. But he bought it like 10 years when it first came out, you know, when it was, you know, $56 a share. And then remember, they manipulated it, that dirty motherfucker. They manipulated it to shoot the fuck up. Now, he was like you, stockbroker, TVs everywhere. Sat like the shit that you're talking about, he could fully understand. Now, as soon as he shot it, it shot up because he knew it wasn't going to last. You know what I mean? That this was just a thing. He sold it and made 4 or 5 million on it. But that's one case out of a million. Now, fast forward, all these people saw, oh my God, Bitcoin went up to whatever the hell it went up to, like, you know, 25,000, whatever the fucking thing. It went nuts. Oh, and then everybody went in and they took loans out. They took their savings out and they bought the Bitcoin because this was manipulated for it to go up, for it to go down, right? Then this happens, boom, it goes down. Lost their life savings, blah, blah, blah. Now it's plateaued at whatever it is now. It really hasn't changed lately. But I could see that was bullshit because there's no federal backing. So basically, you know, some schmuck in wherever the fuck he is controlling it. So he's controlling that Bitcoin shit and the whole crypto. I do think crypto will be.
How about the North Koreans and the Chinese?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a funny story. I'm sitting there the other day, and don't forget, I'm old. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I sit home, me and the dog, you know. My wife works like 4 or 5 hours a day. And I'm sitting there, the stock goes from 2 to 8. And I'm looking at the chart, and I go, you know, if that thing breaks through 8, I said, these knuckleheads are going to run it. I can buy 1,000 shares. I'll see what happens. So I draw a trend line. I put an alert in for the $8. But I don't put it on the Ameritrade where the alert goes ding. I put it on my stock charts on another computer where I just get an email. And I look at the clock, and it's 20:01. Lunchtime is slow.
Mm-hmm.
It usually is. And I'm there. And the next thing I know, I look up because I fell asleep.
You fell asleep?
I fell asleep for 13 minutes.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm very, very good at it. I sit in a chair. I can fall asleep. I look over, and there's an email alert. XYZ, $8. I go, oh, shit. And I go back to the mainstream to hit the trigger, and it's 17. That's $9,000.
Yeah, just like that.
It went to 42.
Really?
The same. Yeah, the next 2 hours.
And what was that?
I have no idea.
But you're just watching that.
I'm just looking at the squiggles.
Yeah.
But it ended up back at 6.
Okay, so you're still doing stocks now with the real estate.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
all right.
phone rings. I look at it. Now, one thing I always did, and you learn it as a stockbroker, you answer your phone. Real estate agents don't answer the phone.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah. If I could charge I could put an ad in the paper and say, realtors, meet me at Harry Hibbert Center. Yeah, $500. I'm going to give you the biggest tip that you ever had. You will make tens of thousands of dollars over your career. I walk out on stage and said, for your $500, here, on your hip, you're paying $200 a month. Answer the goddamn thing.
Yeah.
You'll make a fortune. Thank you for coming. Walk off.
Right.
They would all throw tomatoes and everything, but anybody that listened to it would make money. Nobody calls. Nobody. I don't care, and I know you're a texter because you're a young guy. If I'm doing a business transaction, stuff gets lost with text. It never gets lost with a phone call. Now, are you sure? Are we on the same page? Do you know what we're talking about here? I need this addendum. Do you get it? Because I got guys calling me, sending me contracts that are real estate agents for my foreclosures. And this summer, they were detailing cars.
Yeah.
How's that work?
Yeah.
How does that work? Well, it doesn't.
Yeah. So you come down here, you're doing all this shit. So you're actually a real estate agent and a foreclosure specialist.
When I got sick of
Wall Street, basically.
The guy didn't have a break. It was about 2010, and I thought I got to do something. I want to make some money. What can I do? And of course, I got the background in real estate. I didn't have the background in the contracts and
like the logistics of it.
But I had guys that were in the business of Jesus. You'll get in. He said, you'll just kill it.
Yeah.
And there was this book that somebody wrote, and I don't know. And here was the picture of a guy sitting on a bench like this with his hand. Is it time to quit real estate? And I said, it's time to get in real estate, because when you see book covers like that, that's the bottom. And 2010, anything that you bought and you held for a year to 2 years went up, and if you held it another 2 years, it went up, and if you held it another 2 years, it's still going up. Now, this can't continue, but you can't bet against it, because it'll trample you. The day that it goes, it's going to go.
So how do you feel about the real estate market now today? With the corona, Trump, I heard they might let him out tomorrow.
Yeah. Every sign that I see, all the signs I talked about that you saw in the markets, like the guys on the phone, and every sign I see is we're very close to the end.
When you say the end, what do you mean the end?
Well, just how long ago was 2008?
Okay, but when you say the end, what do you elaborate on the end?
It was we talked about. I think it was the 30th of September.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm in Florida. If you're in Missouri or whatever, get a winter coat out. But if you're up there, it's different than here, okay? But he ended the moratorium on evictions and foreclosures. Everything has been stopped.
Okay.
So now the paperwork is going to start.
Yeah, Santis opened that back up again.
Now the paperwork has started. It's going to take time, but people are going to start being tossed, okay? So
wait, so right now if somebody doesn't pay, you can't evict them? Or it's a whole shit show to evict
until
them?
the 30th of September.
No, I'm saying, okay, 6 months ago, if somebody doesn't pay, you can't evict them?
No.
What?
Oh, go look at your Lake Worth utility bill. Starting October the 1st, you have to pay your utility bill. You didn't have to pay it.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question. When you ask about all of these things, okay, you ask about all of these things and what do you think and this and that and the other thing. First of all, you can't trust anything that you see in the media. And I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about economics, because it's all pay to play.
Okay.
All right? This is what happened back in the late 90s and the 2000s. All right? You'd see these stocks run. I says to a buddy of mine who worked for the agencies, the big ones, wrote reports, this, that, and the other thing. I says, let me see if I got this straight, because they're crooked reporters.
Even back then?
Yeah.
From the beginning of time.
I said something to somebody from the Palm Beach Post one time. No, there is not. There's no crooked reporters. Jesus, your mother would take money for this guy. So I
you say to him, what do you think? I just fell off the banana boat?
Yeah.
My grandfather's.
So I says to this guy, I said, so let me see, because you'd see these newspaper articles. And this is what you got to watch. And still today, I don't care if it's Barron's, I don't know. Is it real, or does somebody have this guy's ear? Because I said to this guy, and this is exactly how the conversation went. I said, so let me get this straight. I says, hedge fund manager calls up Joe Bloke from the Daily Blab. Meet me at Delmonico's. I'm going to buy a steak. He says, look, this company here, da-dump, 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 da-dump. And I want you to say this, and you got to say that, and you got to say this. And then he throws a set of car keys on the table and goes, that town car on the corner, it's already registered in your name, tanked up with gas. Thank you. That it? And he says, yeah, pretty much. Nah. Do you know what ink is worth? In those days, it was newspapers.
Yeah.
It can move mountains. You watch in the morning, I'm on a CNBC hit. XYZ said in the filing with such and such and such and such, zoom, stocks up or down, one way or the other.
Ink is in like print ink?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
You were talking about the 30s. I watch a lot of old
Yeah,
pre-cos.
yeah.
And you said it was language the same. Well, it was the ink.
Yeah.
Everything in the 30s was the newspaper business.
Right.
It's the only place you got your news.
Yeah, which is pretty much dead now.
But it's the same.
Yeah.
It's just social media.
Yeah.
It's ink. And it's interesting. What's going to happen? Social media has usurped all the power of the press. The mainstream media is proven to be, you can't trust it. So where's it going? It's going to blogs. It's going to people like this Dupree guy on Twitter and a bunch of other things. And it's really interesting as hell, but nothing stays the same.
I was talking to this guy the other day. He was in here, and I couldn't. I remember Trump came on. Whether you're for Trump, not for Trump, it doesn't matter. But this guy came on, or Trump was on, or he was on some debate or something. And he said, "I don't know what happened to Fox," and I was wondering why he said that. So I had this guy in here. I was interviewing him, talking to him, and fucking Disney bought Fox. Okay, so Disney now owns Fox. Okay, now Disney Corp is in California, straight Democrat. So now I put it together. That's why he said that. Now Wallace, that dirty motherfucker who did the debate, he's a sick fuck. He just pulled some shots this morning. I don't even know why I watched him, but he just pulled some shots this morning.
Did he wag a finger at somebody?
I don't know what the fuck he did, but he's just a prick. But why, I don't even know why. I was in this last interview because it just pissed me off. How they have a registered Democrat who nursed Biden the entire fucking time to do that moderation shit.
Well, here's how I look at it. People are awake now, and there's a lot of the people in the flyover. Clinton was ahead by 14 at this time in 2016. What was the headline this morning? Biden's ahead by 14. Let me ask you a question. How many people are really for having their house burned down? How many people are really up for seeing some old white person on the corner, okay, get the shit kicked out of them?
Yeah.
It's garbage. But let me give you another thing about the press, and it goes to stocks. It came out Wednesday that Disney laid off 28,000 people, and I looked, and it was the California Disneyland. Because those Nazis out there have shut everything down.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't care. I'm not a fan of Disney, whatever. They laid 28,000 people off. They're telling you what their business prospects were. The stock went up. Now, why? How? Okay, how can it go up if it's like you got like 4 or 5 businesses and you got this thing going? If I see you like start lopping businesses off, I'm going to say, hey, you all right? You need anything?
So why would it go up? You don't know?
Well, that's the whole hook right there. You just gave the whole hook to the TV business. Well, stocks were mixed today because President Trump said, nobody knows. Stocks were up because they were down the last 5 days, or stocks were down because they were up the last 5 days, or stocks were up because Melania Trump scratched her gorgeous ass at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we saw immediate run in the futures. Nobody knows, but nobody's ever going to say, we don't know.
Yeah.
Because if they say, we don't know, you're not going to pay for the newspaper.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to hit the site. We're going to tell you why it's all up.
Yeah.
And sometimes up is down and down is up.
Yeah. It's
so what do you watch if you want to make money in stocks? You watch the squiggles. Because you go back, I can't remember, Mary Meeker and Henry Blodgett were at Dean Witter, which no longer exists, which is a good thing for the world. And they were recommending stocks that privately they trashed and knew were junk. And I'll tell you why. Because Wall Street's run on investment banking fees, and they're huge. They're 10% easy. So if you bring $1 billion
So Wall Street's run on interest is what you're saying.
investment banking fees,
What's up?
you bring a company public, you build it in your garage, and just going just little by little, you have investors come in. And the investors give you $100, and I give you
Like
100.
Apple, for example. They started that in the garage. They get people to come in with investors.
So now they got 10 or 20
Yeah.
partners who got a piece of the business. I got 10%. Jobs has 20%. Wojnak has 20%. And then they get to the point where they need capital. So they're going to bring the company public, and they're going to sell the shares to the suckers. A lot of times they work. A lot of times they don't. But Goldman Sachs will come and get that deal, and there's like 10% in that deal. If it's $1 billion, it's 10% of $1 billion. They have a syndicate. And not too far away from the term syndicate from, the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's about the same, guys.
Yeah.
But the syndicate markets the shares, and everybody gets a piece. I can't remember. It's been so long. I used to know all the nuances. I don't. But let's just say they all get paid to push it. 30 days later, they all recommend it. Now, why?
Because they bought into it.
No, because the firm got a huge chunk of money, and you don't say bad stuff about people that stuff your pockets with money.
Right. Gotcha.
Your ex-wife might, but they don't on Wall Street. You don't say bad things about people that pay you money. There's a company out there called Scientific Games. They were the ones that make the scratch-off tickets. This is 26, 27 years ago. I go to Raymond James. They had a thing called the Focus List. Hottest thing on Wall Street. Little regional firm out of Tampa. Their focus list was hot, hot, hot. They had a talent for discovering small companies. Small companies can go up faster than big companies. The float, the number of shares available aren't as big. So I'm talking to the office manager, and I said, this is like a no-brainer. She goes, guys screw it up all the time. I said, how do they screw this up? Well, they just do when they get their customers in at the wrong time, and they wait, and whatever. So I'm looking at this, and I would pitch the stock. I said, listen, we're coming out with a new issue, Scientific Games. I'm going to tell you right now, 30 days from today, we're going to recommend it. Now, why did I say that? Because the analyst told me? No. There was a 30-day moratorium again on recommending a stock. But they were going to recommend it.
Yeah.
Because it was our customer.
Right. No, it makes sense.
So we each got an allocation.
What a complicated shit show.
Yeah, but it's fun. You would have loved it.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that? Ever see the Taxi where Danny DeVito
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the
yeah,
stockbroker?
yeah.
We showed that, man. That was the greatest thing.
Fucking Danny DeVito. He's awesome.
So everybody would get a few shares. Okay? Then after about a week, you could sell them again. You had to hold them for 3 or 4 days. I can't remember. And I would just say, okay, don't send your shares down to the desk. I'll pay you the offer. So now the stock's up $2-3. A $23 stock might have been 25, 26. These guys want their commission. Bring it in here. We'll pay you the offer. Come on. And they would bring me the tickets, and I would cross the stock, which meant I didn't send it to the desk. I'd just get every share in the office, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10,000 shares. Get it, send it down to the desk, clear it with the customers. Now I got all the stock. I wait 30 days. One day I'm in Charleston, South Carolina on vacation. It's the day we're supposed to recommend the stock. I get on the payphone. I call the desk. What do we got? I don't know what stock it was. Oh, such and such. We recommended it's up 6. I says, sell it all. I go back to the office. The guy says, how'd you make $8,000 when you weren't in the office? It was the same thing. Now, today, with the technology, nobody's paying me $8,000 to do that.
Right.
Even if it was a good business decision, I said, to do it my way, I want $8,000. They aren't going to do it. That's technology. And by the way, that's what's going to happen to real estate commissions.
You really think that's going to happen?
It's happened now.
Really?
Sure. Commissions are under pressure.
Yeah. They're going to fuck you.
Not me.
Not you, but I mean, they're going to fuck with the system.
You can't just be dealing today.
Yeah.
What's going to happen tomorrow? It's 13 pieces of paper, and somebody that was detailing cars 3 months ago wants an $8,000 paycheck. Come on, man.
Yeah, like kind of put it together.
Yeah, like Joe Biden. Come on, man.
Yeah, come on, man. Clown man.
Yeah. So what did I tell you that I'm doing? That's my new business plan.
So now you were saying about REO, okay, which is real estate owned, is a term for property owned by a lender because it failed to sell in the foreclosure. You're doing that, right?
They're foreclosures.
So they're just REO is just the short term for a fucking foreclosure.
There you go.
So the foreclosure business is coming back.
There's people that say no. I'm saying yes. It's going to come back huge.
Do you have like an estimated timetable, and what do you think? I'm asking you, like I wouldn't ask a normal person that, but just because you've been around for a while, you've been in
No,
this.
it's.
I mean, I know you can't.
It's
I know there's no rhyme or reason for anything. I'm just saying,
the stuff I'm seeing.
your little genie ball.
Stuff I'm seeing is the end of the year, first of the next year, because don't forget, you got to go to court, and then there's lawyers that are going to say.
You want to make sure that microphone's up to you so it goes. To
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Then,
you can pull it toward you.
then
I just want to make sure that it
then
comes through good for you.
yeah, and then there's lawyers that'll come to you and say, "Well, how much are you paying? $1,500 a month. Okay, give me $750. I'll keep you in the house."
Yeah.
And they go down to the court and they play back and forth.
I see.
Okay, so you're going to drag out that way. But foreclosures happen in all markets, just not a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a contract with Housing and Urban Development, and I sell their stuff, and I've been doing that for 4 or 5 years. There's not one single HUD foreclosure in Palm Beach County. Why? Well, because HUD decided to sell to hedge funds,
Okay.
and they might sell 800 to 1,000 homes at a rip to these guys. And so you have what they call GSEs. That's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD, the banks. Okay, that's one set of foreclosures. Then you have the hedge funds that'll come in and they'll buy big lumps of properties. Then they'll hire somebody like me to market it. And then I'll come in and get contractors and everything, fix it up. That's another part of the foreclosure business.
So there's a lot of moving parts to this foreclosure shit. It's not just a foreclosure, the bank takes it, somebody buys it.
Lately, okay, and this, I go back, the last year I heard from these guys, a lot of these hedge funds, they're losing their shirt. And when I ask why, they said, well, the real estate agents lied to us and the contractors screwed us. Well, basically, they're paying too much for the properties. Okay, so that's why is there so much demand for properties? Because interest rates are 3%.
Wow, that would make sense.
Yeah, if rates come down, people can afford more house. So when you can afford more house, what do markets do?
They go down.
No, they go up because people are trying to buy houses. And that's what you're looking at.
Okay.
So I would anticipate some kind of break coming at the end of the year. There's still going to be demand for houses, but people have to pay for them. Now, if you got 28,000 people at Disney that got laid off, and that's going to be out in Orange County, California, there's still 28,000 people that got laid off.
I still don't, but why would it go up though? That's what I don't understand.
Oh, the stock?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm watching it because there'll be a break, and then you'll be able to short it on the way down. But it just is what it is in a short term. You see what I mean?
So now you got two sites. So this is Gary Works for You, right?
That's for retail people.
Okay. So but when I type your website's Gary Works for You.
Right.
So explain what this is, and I know you got the other one.
You go into this, and you can search anywhere. Probably in Florida. I basically use it for Lake Worth. And what I tell buyers is, because it's the stage of my life I'm at. We talked about this before. I say, look, you go in there, and if I meet people and I want to buy a house, you go in there and you find a place and whatever. You call me, and I will give you back a third of the commission that I get so that you can use it for your closing costs, because it's expensive. I mean, they jacked up taxes. Closing costs are up. Doc stamps are up. I'll give you a point. Okay? I said, but I'm not driving you around for 6 months. I'm not doing that. If you act businesslike and you pick a house, I'm going to help you buy it. Okay? Now we're going to take this one step farther. All right? We're going to take this one step farther for retail people, and I have an agreement with a title company and a lender. I'll do the listings for 1% when everybody else gets 3%. The title company will give you a free closing fee, and the lender is going to pay your $500 appraisal. And what I'm trying to do is give a break to Joe and Susie home buyer or home seller.
So when they deal with you, you're helping them out with the closing.
I'm trying.
Unlike other real estate agents do. I don't know anybody. I don't know any.
There's some guys out there doing this. I've been doing this for a number of years. But other people are seeing what I'm doing and seeing that there's business to be done. Now, I mean, I'm doing one for a lady now. I mean, look at my hand. You see the joint compound?
Yeah.
What a doll. And my dog groomer came over, Mom wants to sell her house. And I said, look, I do this for everybody. I'm going to do it for a point. So she's got 2 holes in the ceiling. She had somebody put an air conditioner in, charged her an extra 4 Gs. And the guy stepped through the ceiling, and he didn't fix it. Well, I'm a property manager, too. I fixed up my own places for years. So I'm in there, and I'm patching the ceiling. And then I'm trying to get out, and the door handle isn't working. I said, I'll fix that, and the toilet's broken. I love her. She's just a delight. And there's a great joy in giving back to people like that. She's just a doll.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do here, and you'll see that come up. It's 1% listing. This is for owner occupants, because if you're trying to make money and you're a business person, you got to pay like everybody else.
Okay, so now because you explained this to me before,
yeah,
and it's to you it's like a computer and marketing to me is like this, that, the other. Now, if I would talk to you in marketing terms, your head would be out the fucking door in the parking lot. So when I hear you and I read like your outline for what you wanted to market and everything else, I understood it, but not fully. So when somebody comes to you with the real estate, when you say this 1%, this 3%, break that down, because not necessarily just to market yourself. I know you a long time. I met you when I had a vapor shop at some shit fucking place over here.
It's joyous.
Yeah, it was a joyous place when that weirdo, the boat guy, was owning it. And so like I've known you a long time. So yeah. I know you're not, you're making your money on the stocks. You got money from so this is kind of a hobby.
I don't care.
Right. So what I'm saying is, and I know you're not here to promote. You're just here kind of to educate, and you're a very interesting person, and we're going to have a part 2.
Well, it's the only time I get to see you. You told me if I'd come over here and do a podcast, we could talk, because you're the most interesting guy. Hey, that Dos Equis guy?
Yeah.
He's nothing, man.
So you're doing the real estate. So when you say this 1%, the 3%, I come to you, explain that to a person that has no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
You want me to do that right now?
Yeah.
Joe Blow comes over from Mr. Franchise Firm. Okay, Mr. Kitely, here's the deal. 3% here, 3% here. You're going to contract to sell your house for $300,000. Actually, your place is probably worth about $350,000 now. But you're going to contract to pay 3% here and 3% here. You're going to pay the buyer's agent. You're going to pay us 3%. Then you got to pay $495 for what we call the additional broker fee. Look at my email, Tommy. That the website's in my email. Okay. Then you're going to pay the $495, and what's that for? Well, we have to store your records for 6 years. Okay, then what else? Well, you're going to sign a 1-year agreement or 6 months. That means that you're stuck with us for 6 months. Well, what else? Well, if the buyer comes in and puts $50,000 deposit down and he defaults on the contract, you and I split that. We each get $25,000. Okay? And I can't think of what else is in there. So I looked at it a long time ago, and I got the best guys in the world that I work with. And I said, here's the deal, Mr. Kitely. That's a franchise. I have all the syndication tools that I need. I can match any firm that's out there. This is what you contract for. 1% to me. If I sell your house, you pay me a 1% commission. I'm going to pay for the professional photographer. We're going to get drone shots in. We're going to get pro shots at your house. All right? There's no additional broker charge. You can put the Library of Congress on Dropbox for $200. So I'm going to charge you $600 for what? For $400 for what? So I don't have that. So when I get done, if I just get the list, you're going to save about $6,500 in your pocket that you can use. Now, if I get the buyer and I represent both sides, That's another 1%. You're going to pay another $6,000. There it is at the bottom.
Right. So it's a homeowner's break. 1% listing commission, no broker fee, professional photos.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. Professional representation, 5-star rated on Zillow. That's just saying that you got 5 stars. You cocky fuck. You had to put that in there, right?
Go read some of them.
No,
I'm very proud of those.
No. I'm just joking with you. Phone is always answered. Remember, we always talk about Machiavelli. Always availability. Most important thing.
How are you going to sell a house if you don't talk to anybody that's trying to buy it?
You can opt for a pocket listing. Now, what the hell is that?
Yeah, forget that.
So that's all weird shit. Okay, no gains, no double talk. I'm going to put this up. When this comes out, this will be up on the screen and everything.
I can carry about 15 of these and do a pretty good job, because I have a lot of people through the years that I've helped. I tell these people, and they tell me, this woman, she spent $12,000 for the air conditioning. It's the same deal I got in my house for $8,000. New ductwork. And I tell these people, don't do anything. Call me first. Well, why? Because I know people.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. These guys will say to me when I first started, hey, you want me to put a little something in here for you? Like the AC guy, got $300. Want me to put that in? No, I want you to give the break to the customer. I'm going to get $11,000 in commissions.
Yeah. That's what the $300 for.
That's what the commission's for. Let's get this guy a break.
Okay, so now this one is for Palm Beach only.
I think you go in there and you'd probably get a lot of Florida.
Yeah, well, I mean Florida. I'm saying this is all Florida here.
Yeah. Look, you can get everything in Florida.
Yeah, this is
But listen, I'm not going to Wiki-Waki to sell a house for 1%.
No, I understand that. Now, you said REO Doctor. What's the website?
What I tried to do, it's on there. Do you see it in the thing, REO Doctor?
Oh, the REODoctor.com.
Yeah, what is it?
You told me before we started it was REODoctor.com.
Yeah, you probably said duh.
That's a pretty good, yeah. Okay, so
why I did this.
Right, so explain this one here.
All right, why I did this is because banks and stuff, they don't care. Okay, they just got this thing. It's a headache. They just want me to get rid of it, and market it. And I do this. Listen, I do the same job. I don't go to you and say 1% and then go to the next door neighbor and say 2% and say to the guy 3%. I do the same thing with the banks. If you look in there for a lot of these hedge funds, and they're kind of dead now because they can't get anything to do. I went into one of them and I did all the renovation. I said, you buy me the parts. I'll go buy the parts at Home Depot. I get 10% off because I'm a veteran. You pay that. And there's a video in there where I lay all the stuff out, and I went through and I did all the plumbing. Hey, plumber can charge you $120 to come out and shake your hand. And I don't blame him. He's got workman's comp. He's got all these things. But I'm a licensed not licensed, there's a license in Florida, but I'm insured and all of that. And I can go in for a customer, and if it doesn't require a permit or anything, I can do basic stuff. So I put toilets in, I plumbed out everything. And they still lost money. And I said, how the hell did you lose money? And they said, you just paid too much. I said, you can't do that. You can't pay too much. And that's when you get into this market right now, and you talk about that big black, what we call on Wall Street, the black swan. Black swan is something that you're not expecting. Okay? Let me ask you something. All these guys that wanted to do these Airbnbs, and they bought
I got
one.
more friends than you can count that did that.
They bought one. This is working so well, I'm going to buy another one. I'm going to buy another one. I'm going to buy another one. All of a sudden, you can't rent them out. You still got the bills. There's no moratorium on paying your property taxes, right? Or how about somebody that's got like 50 units? And they're leveraged like I was in 79, 80.
Yeah.
If I'd have had that, I'd have been dead. I'm teaching school, man. I ain't getting any money. I got to go to the bank, and it's 20 points.
That's crazy. Might as well go to the street.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. I know what that guy's about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's not 20 points.
Help me out, Guido.
Yeah. My friends back in the day, people that I know, 20 points, we would all been walking around with hard dicks.
The banks are the biggest crooks in the country.
You wouldn't need Viagra. No. I could be 80 with 20 points and not have a hard dick.
That site is for professionals.
Okay.
And there's a lot of individuals.
Okay. So it's easy to understand. Okay, so Gary works for you.
That's
Florida.
for
That's
retail.
Florida. Retail Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The REO doctor isn't for a guy like me, or
If you buy a house that you want to flip,
okay, but
that'll work.
not to buy a house to live in.
No.
Okay, so this is for if I want to buy a house to flip, I go to the reodoctor.com, which is you, and you assist me in finding a house that I have the capital to buy to flip. Is that right?
Yes, and that business is kind of dead right now because I'm
Yeah.
very conservative,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of these guys, they're going to sell you anything.
Right. So because you're not just going to sell shit to somebody.
And I'm going to tell you, put your money in your pocket.
Yeah.
I'll call you, or else somebody will call me because I'm in.
Now, before you get, why is it dead now?
Because prices are up so much.
Really?
Look, here's the deal.
So fucked up.
I can't get professional people to understand this. Okay, what's it worth right now? Well, it's worth this to somebody that wants to live there. It's worth this to you. Well, how can that be? Well, this is easy. The guy that wants to live there, if he gets this price, he's got a little room to fix it up and to drop a sleeping bag and live there. You, in Palm Beach County, if you just do it straight, it's 9% to sell a house. Actually, 8.7. Work with 9%. So let's say that you got a house and you see a price and you can buy it for $200. And then they'll hire me to go in and look around because I've renovated so many houses. I can say, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's going to cost you $50. Okay? And I'm always conservative, so the 50's high. But I have to be there because if I'm not there, I have one in a gated community. They stole the frickin' air compressor. Somebody got in the community, had to be an AC guy with the tools,
Right.
ripped off the frickin' AC on a bank house.
So now I'm just trying to follow you, right? Because I'm like the person who's going to watch is trying to learn from because everybody in the fucking, that, like I can't believe how crazy that that video went. So now I'm dropping 200 on the foreclosure, right? Am I right?
And you got to put 50 in it.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So I'm initially dropping the 200K on the foreclosure. Now you're conservative, so you're going a little bit higher so that you don't say 30 and now it's 47 and you got to deal with all the bullshit. So now another 50, so now I'm at $250,000, right? That's where we're at.
Now when you want to sell it, I think I can get 300. Excellent. Now you bought it, you spent all the time, and you're paying the HOA, and you're paying the taxes, so you're not sitting there for free every month.
Right, so while you're spending this $50K to make it right, you're paying the HOA fee, you're paying this, you're paying that.
So now let's look at the sale price, 300. Well, first of all, it may sell at 300 and it may not. You may have to lower it. Maybe the black swan comes and interest rates go up a point.
Right.
Prices are going to come down 12%. I know it doesn't say it on the internet because I checked it, but it will.
Say that again?
For every 1 point, the book tells you every 1 point in mortgage rates, house prices will move up or down by 12%. Now, it's gradual, and the better areas won't be as bad, but think about it. At 3%, your mortgage is $1,200 a month on whatever house you got. At 4%, your mortgage is going to be $1,600 a month. Well, that makes a difference. It's got to come from someplace.
Right.
It's a zero-sum game. It's going to come from the price of the house. So now you're in this dog for $250.
Plus HOA fees.
Forget that for the
We'll
time
just say
being.
$250.
My wife watches this do-it-yourself channel, and I'm looking at the numbers. I go, Belinda, you're killing me with this shit. Okay?
Yeah.
It's bullshit. Where's the closing cost? Well, he bought it for $600, put $40 in it, and sold it for $670 and made $30,000. Yeah. He lost his shirt.
Yeah.
$300,000, take 9 away, your closing costs are $27,000. All of the things being equal. All right? 300 what did I say? 9 times 3, 27. So you're getting 273 out of the place and you're 250 in it. You ain't retiring.
So you're lucky to make 20 grand off that.
They want to
and a lot of headache with it.
They want to make 20% cash on cash.
Yeah.
Well, that was easy. 2010, 2011, 2012, 2000.
Where on 300K you can make 60,000, which would be the 20%.
It used to be. Now, there's other ways to get inventory, but I have these people call me and they'll go, "Hi, we're investors and we've got cash." And I just get really tired of it. And I'll go, yeah, you and the rest of America. What can I do for you? Well, we're looking for this, and we're going to do this, and we're looking for that. And I go, friend, if I find something that fits those parameters, who do you think's going to buy it? You?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we got Gary works for you for Florida, and then we got the RUO doctor.
REO. Romeo Echo Oscar.
The REO doctor.com for professionals to basically buy foreclosure, which you're not really playing that game right now. It's not the time.
Maybe it'll come up. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know. But right now it's a little tough.
My lawyer got a place. He called me on Thursday, and he said, do you want to come to Delray with me? And I go, no.
Yeah.
I will, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
And it was this beat-ass condo, nasty, just like the old days, stuff everywhere, ceiling fans, man. They were wearing alpaca sweaters. They were so dirty.
Your wife needs to call those people in to fix it the fuck up.
Uh-huh.
Your wife needs to call those people in from that dumbass show and fix it up.
Fix it up. Yeah, let me see what you can do.
I can watch that show for about 5 minutes and kill myself.
Yeah, yeah. It's a big winner. But it was a fluke in that the woman had a lot of money and tried to throw somebody a bone and do a favor, and the guy moved in and he didn't get proper clearance through the HOA, so the HOA sued him. So she pays $94,000 now, trying to be Joe Goodgirl, and she's got to pay the guy $15,000 to get out. Got to pay the lawyer $30,000.
Yeah. By the time
and she says, just get rid of it. He goes,
yeah.
I'll give you $50,000.
Yeah.
So he's got himself a bargain.
And again, that's one in whatever right now.
It doesn't happen like it used to, but it's going to.
Yeah. And again, when? If you had your little ball,
that's funny.
How far are we away from that?
Thinking about that today because I'm so comfortable.
Now is that based on Trump winning?
No, it's just based on the fact that there's a lot of people that just don't want to pay their bills, and there's a lot of people that now can't pay their bills. Look, those 28,000 people at Disney, you lose those 28,000 jobs, you're going to lose another $75,000 jobs. Because think about it. They go to work, they get their shirts cleaned, they go buy lunch.
It trickles down.
It happened in 2008 when Washington Mutual went out in Seattle.
Yeah.
Crushed that city.
It's the food chain.
If you're working, you're spending money. If you're not working, you're doing the same stuff. Hey, Jose, I'm not going to have you cut my grass.
Well, you're not going to work, so you're not going to the dry cleaner. So now Jose that was coming every week, now maybe he's coming once a month. Yeah. So
nobody gets up on us about racial.
Yeah.
In South Florida, the lawn care business is
I
Latino.
love them. I got a ton.
Yeah.
I'm just and actually they work a hell of a lot better than any white guy or Italian guy.
You got to be careful, but the Cubans are my favorite.
Cubans, whatever.
Those people work, and when you tell them people are, Gary, what's wrong with these people? What they vote for Biden for? I come from Cuba, man.
Yeah.
And I got friends that were run out of Cuba at gunpoint.
Yeah.
Okay, and this one guy is my go-to guy. I met him, and he was an AC guy in 2007. I just found out last month he was a physics teacher, and she was an architect in Cuba. And they got the hell out. And he lives in a house 5 times nicer than mine. And he's got an AC business, and he's a general contractor. I mean, these people work.
Yeah, no, they work hard. So now, is there any stock you would recommend right now? No stock you'd recommend.
I tell you what, man. You know, I was trading Apple, right? And I let my guard down. And you just learn. You know, you get slapped. And the stock is starting to wiggle a little bit, and I go, it's Apple. What's going to happen to it? I found out. Next thing you know, you're down $1,000.
Yeah.
Day trading, you can't afford that. It's all the same to me. Now, just the same thing with real estate, I'm going to say about the stock market. 2008 was the big, deep recession. Let's say it was over in 2010. I'll give you the year 9 to 10. The market started to turn around in April of 2009. It had started going down in December of 2007. So this was a bad one. It took 16 months to go down. And I'm looking at my charts, and I'm looking at a signal. I really didn't get a signal till July that you could buy it. And I'm looking for things that are above this conversation. So let's say that the stock market, which is a barometer, it really starts to turn in April of 2009. So you get out of the recession in 2010. Things start to pick up again. The market's up, this and that. Activity's coming back slowly, slowly. You are now in the 10th year, probably the 11th year of an economic recovery. Go into Google and type in something like history of economic recoveries. You are long in the tooth. Now, what's going to end it? A black swan.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to end it? Something that you don't see. I'm going to tell you something. Things that are known don't matter. Okay? In the year 2000, what was everybody worried about? Why 2000? What happened? Nothing. Because they were talking about it for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay? So anything that you think is a problem now is not going to be a problem. What's going to get you is something that you don't see coming.
And that's what's going to fuck you.
Well, yeah, but I mean, think about what nobody's talking about. You've had all of these foreclosures that have been pushed back. You've had all of these young guys like I did 40 years ago owning all these rentals that haven't had any rent coming in. They couldn't get foreclosed on because of the moratorium.
But that's getting lifted.
Correct-a-vous.
So it's not far away.
I don't think so.
Wow.
But here's the deal. Just like the Disney going up on the bad news, okay? I don't know when. I just know. There is no way. And some of these stocks are up like this. For what reason? They got no business. The casino stocks? I think Wynn reported they did 25% of the revenues that they did a year ago. Not profits, revenues. Well, how do you run the casino on 25% of the revenues and the stock's going up?
Yeah.
Why? Well, first of all, you got 3% interest rates. So where's the big money going to put their money? You can't buy bonds. You're going to put your money in a 30-year bond at 2.25%? That's stupid. So they looked for other venues, and they looked for real estate, and they drove real estate through the ceiling. And they looked for stocks, and they're driving stocks through the ceiling. And nobody wants to leave the party early.
Yeah.
It's just a disaster.
It's really interesting hearing it from you, coming, just knowing all that, because you've been dealing with this how many years?
Too many.
How many?
Well, I don't want to say too many because that kind of, that's the. Well, when I was in the Army, I always had. They used to laugh at me because I'd be in the BX or the PX, depending on what base I was at, on the 1st and the 15th, and there would be nobody in there, and a guy would look at me and he goes, he says, "You're smart." I go, "Why's that?" And he says, "Because the other people." Well, I would actually go in. I'm sorry, a couple of days before payday and buy my stuff. He says, "Because everybody else is going to be here on the 1st and the 15th, and it's all going to be gone." Because they lived hand to mouth.
Right, right.
And so I always was looking for something like that. And I started buying stocks in the 70s. I got out of the Army. I bought the entire U.S. airmail collection, including the famous Zeppelin stamps from this guy. Great guy. I met him, and it was like $900. It was an estate sale. And I think I sold it 5 or 6 years later for $2,500. Doesn't sound like a lot of money, but I went to the bank to cash that $2,500 check, and the teller was a little cutie, and her eyes lit up like that. She must have thought I was Rockefeller or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But the money was different.
Yeah, it was different.
Buy a brand new car for $2,400.
Yeah. So, I mean, roughly you got probably 45 years in the stocks.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to bring it back in because I want to go over how to buy a foreclosure, because people are going to hear this, they're going to see it on TV, this, that, the other, and I want to sit down an hour and a half, whatever it is, and go through the process of what is the right way to buy a foreclosure. So that's what we'll do next time when you come in.
And put in enough time about the numbers.
Yeah, no, it will just be, it will be all that.
The most remarkable thing that's happened today, and you have to take advantage of it. When I see people pay cash for a house, it's the dumbest thing you can do. Warren Buffett says that it's the easiest way to short the U.S. dollar. Okay? Now, think about it. We're $27 trillion in debt. How do you get out of debt like that? There's only one way. You have to inflate so that you're paying it back with cheap money. Now, take a look at what my first job was 1967. Minimum wage was $1.50, and I was happy to get it. My dad made me work Thanksgiving Day because it was time and a half. It was huge money.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's 15, and that's not enough.
Yeah.
But think about what happens to the dollar. So you borrow.
What's minimum wage right now?
I don't know. They screwed around with this so much.
Yeah, they kept fucking around. It was
like
eight something.
eight and change.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
But think about this. When you borrow money to buy a house, don't. It's the only money you want to owe. But when you buy a house, especially 30 years, I just refied my house for the third time for 30 years. You think I'm worried about that last payment?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, right.
I don't care. You
Yeah.
can come over and make it for me, but I'm not making it.
Right.
But think about it. You're borrowing that money today, and you're paying it off with today's dollar.
Mm-hmm.
In 5 years, what do you think a U.S. dollar is going to be worth? 80 cents?
Yeah.
So now you're paying it back on 80 cents on the dollar, maybe 50. All right? But think about this. You also get tax write-offs.
Yeah.
So you got a 3% loan, the government's subsidizing, you're probably paying 2.
Yeah.
It is if you can find something, and I always tell people you're going to buy a house. I said, look, just forget about the price, just like I forgot about the price in the 70s. Forget about the price. Do you like the house? Can you swing the payments? Or are you going to stay here for 5 years? If the answer to those 3 questions are yes, it's a go. Because you really can't lose if you're going to live there. Because what happened to rents? You ever talk to anybody in town renting?
Mm. Well, I know it's out the ass.
You want to get $2,500 a month for your place? I'd do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Because there's no inventory.
Yeah.
Okay? There's no inventory. It's coming.
Yeah.
But people are impatient. Unlike you and me. I mean, you're me 35 years ago.
Yeah.
I want it yesterday.
Yeah.
But it's great. Being older is I can do things that I just didn't have the patience for. Being a, type A Italian.
Yeah.
I could throw a meatball a long way.
Yeah.
But it's easy now.
Yeah.
I can do this. I can say to people, look, I'm going to save you 12 grand, 13. I see these ads. Oh, come to Premier Agent, 2%. Hey, shit, I blow them out of the water.
Yeah. And it's 561-801-0897.
That's right. And it'll get answered. Guy
All right.
called me one day on Thanksgiving, and he said, I didn't think you'd answer the phone. I said, you want me to hang up and you have the voicemail? What do you want? What do you want out of me?
Yeah, what do you want, motherfucker? I answered. Why are you asking me why I answered now, right? Cocksucker. All right, so we'll bring you back in maybe next week, and we'll go through the whole process of the foreclosure and everything else.
Sure,
so thank you very much for all the education, the stories. Because listen, these people are they're I hope a lot of people watch it because they're fucking up.
I don't want to see people get hurt.
No, I know you don't, and that's why I thought this is really important because
do you remember the
because
old
listen,
yeah.
because they see a guy like Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now he hit the 300K. They see the Bitcoin and all this other shit, things like that, and then people that really don't have it, they think that they got like a 50-50 shot of getting it. Fuck it, and there's nowhere near 50-50. So I wanted to make sure we went through this now.
Do you remember? Here, you can hate Trump if you want, and I know you don't, and I don't. But he talks about this corona and the shutdown. And he said the depression, the suicides. Well, you go back to 2008 and you look for the newspaper articles. I saw more than one, and I fought to stop that for 7 years. And I gave up my own life and all my own money trying to win, and I lost. You don't beat the big city bankers. You don't. They aren't going to jail.
Yeah.
I'll go first. You'd see time after time where a guy would shoot his wife, shoot his kids, and shoot himself. All over. There's nothing worse for a man, ego-wise, okay, than to lose a job. It is humiliating.
No, I know it is. And what Trump was saying was, you want to shut everything down. There's more alcoholics, more drug use, more divorce.
Yep.
All these fucking problems. I mean, you can't shut down the country. You can't do that. But my fear, whether you're for Biden, not for Biden, for Trump, because I don't want to get too political, but he's going to shut it the fuck down. California's talking about shutting down again. The NFL is probably not going to make it through because Cam Newton got the coronavirus. They canceled the Patriots game. But you still don't shut the shit down. But
what happened to the old days when the athletes just got clap? Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Gary. Well, thanks for coming in,
That's
man.
funny.
That is a good one. Gary's got an animal joke, man. Thank you so much for coming in, Gary. And I will see you next week, and we'll do this. We'll do this again on the foreclosure. Sure. And this is good shit. This is really good shit. So I really appreciate it. I think a lot of people will too. And it's GaryForYou.com. I want to give you
works.
GaryWorksForYou.com.
Yep.
And then the REODoctor.com. And I'm going to put all that up. It will be in the link. And he does always answer the phone, even when I'm calling him about some bullshit. But he does always answer the phone.
I do.
All right. Thanks a lot, Gary.
Hasta luego.